What is up, my little Deinos? Vepsis here, your coach of the Helsinki Dragons, and I'm finally back for my NPL Tryout Tournament semi-finals match versus Magnitogorsk, Metagross and their coach Stibe. First and foremost, I do want to apologize for the lateness for this upload, but the reasoning for that is that I have had some back problems or back pains for a few weeks now, and I have tried to heal from it, and I'm still trying to recover from it with a proper medicine and proper exercises. So because of that, I do want to also emphasize that if this video seems a little bit more rushed than I normally do, including the team builder where I'm gonna be going a lot more quickly and more efficiently, that is gonna be the reason, so I don't try to sit here for too long and make it worse for myself. But either way, now getting that out of the way, like I said, we are going up against Stibe and his team being the Magnitogorsk Metagross, and both of us actually happen to be Finnish coaches in this tournament, even though his team name refers to be more of a Russian background, but he is indeed Finnish, and he is at 5-2 and +6 differential, where we are at 6-0 and +25 differential going into this game, including the pool games and including the top 16 and top 8 games which both of us were able to win. And going through this matchup, Steve's roster includes of Celestila, Larios, which is one of his C captains, Greninja, Nihilego, Breloom, Swampert, Megamanectric, Golbat, Cramble, which is his second C captain, Fortress, Spiritu, which is his third and final C captain, and Trapinch. So that is the roster what I had to prepare for, and going with this, I want to mention the question of the day will be, what is your favorite electric type to use in a draft league format? Because to me, going to this game, both of us will be pressured by our opposing electric types, and those being probably the biggest threats versus ourselves. Being the Megamanectric, that was one of the biggest threats to me to deal with. And for my opponent, you can tell Tapu Koko is by far the biggest threat probably for him to deal with. So I figured that would be the proper question of the day as well to throw out there. And now going through the team, what I actually gonna be bringing to this game, I'm gonna be bringing it starting with Tapu Koko, and Tapu Koko is gonna be a Choice Scout set this week with Wild Sauce, Thunderbolt, Dazzling Gleam and U-Turn. The next mod what we are gonna be bringing is gonna be Kyurem. Kyurem is going to be a light clay set actually with Ice Beam, Earth Power, Roost and Reflect. The third member of the team will be Gliscor, and Gliscor will be a specially defensive with Earthquake, Stealth Rocks, Roost and U-Turn. Then we have Ferrothorn, and Ferrothorn is gonna be also more of a specially defensive set with Gyro Ball, Seed Bomb, Leech Seed and Spikes. And then we have Tentacruel with a physical defensive spread for the most part with Dual Stab, Toxic and Rapid Spin. And the final member of the team will be Incineroar as well, and Incineroar will be Assault Vest with particular spread with Flare Blitz, Knockoff, Earthquake and U-Turn. So that is gonna be the team, and quickly running down the idea what I had with this team is that I wanted to build a momentum based balanced team versus him with a speed control in Tapu Koko, which hopefully is gonna function as a winning condition and a revenge killer. And the reason why I went with Choice Scout is that I wanted to secure myself the fastest mon out there throughout the game, including be able to outspeed Nihilego, which also was somewhat a nuisance with Choice Scarf. So I wanted to be able to revenge kill it, and that's why we packed the Wild Charge and the particular amount of attack investment, so we kill it after one round of Stealth Rocks damage onto it or one round of Spikes. And it also gives me option to outspeed Megamanectric, because that thing outspeeds my entire team naturally. And because of those two factors, I figured I'm gonna be based my team around this Choice Scout Tapu Koko. The Kyurem with Light Clay, actually, Kyurem had a lot of different ideas what I could have done with it, because he's only ice resist are Greninja and Fortress, as you can tell. So something like a Choice Specs or a Never Melt Ice looked really good on Kyurem set potentially, or even Choice Scarf in that matter, or a sub substitute ruse set could have worked also. But the idea with Likely is that my team, as you can tell a little bit, is somewhat weak to Prelume and also somewhat weak to Celesteela's physical type of hits. So I figured with the Light Clay and Reflect, QM is actually able to beat those things 1v1. It's gonna help my entire team to be able to deal with them a lot easier and giving me those 8 turns of Reflect. And he doesn't have too many knockoff users to eliminate my items, so hopefully that's going to work out for us. The speed investment is there to outspeed Prelume, and then I just had Ice Beam and Earth Power because that hits his entire team very hard and used for recovery. This also functions as a Mega Manectric check to me, and that's another reason why I chose not to go with Choice Specs, for example, just to have the option to recover it. Gliscor kind of helps dealing with the Mega Manectric, basically baiting it go for a hidden power ice when I have it out in the field and get the Krem in for free. I wanted to be able to gain momentum and get up myself Stealth Rocks, and the hazard stacking option is one of my main ways to let my Krem and Tapu Koko to do the most work, cause these two basically together provide me the best offensive weapons versus him and really try to take advantage of his flaws on his defensive modes and on his offensive modes. So I figured that these two would really benefit from hazard stacking, and these two hopefully can help me with that. And this also helps me with able to get some chip damage on the Mega Manectric, because that's the hardest thing for me to enable to get some hit off, because usually it's gonna always outspeed everything on my team and able to get itself out there and function as a revenge cure. So it's very hard for me to be able to get prior damage to it potential in this game. So hopefully with the hazard damage I'm able to do that, and that was the kind of idea with there. And Tentacruel just provides me some sort of switching to Celesteela, barring Earthquake will hurt, but that's where hopefully Reflect comes into play. Ferrothorn hopefully helps me deal with Greninja, Swampert, Latios without Hidden Power Fire, and even if the Latios does have Hidden Power Fire, then we have Incineroar to help with that, and also with a lot of his other especially offensive threats what he has. So that is gonna be the team, and I will be coming back with the replay. So alright, we are back with the replay, and we are gonna be seeing that Stibe decided to bring Nihilego, Mega Manectric, Gramble, Swampert, Latios and Celesteela, and for the most part, even though I didn't mention on the team builder part, some of these mons, or majority of these mons, weren't surprised. The only surprising factor to me was probably that the Prelume didn't come, but I can see why it wasn't brought, and maybe he had some concerns of bringing it, because I do have a lot of ways to offensively pressure it, but thankfully because he didn't bring it, that takes a lot of pressure from my end. But still, things like Nihilego, Mega Manectric, Latios and Celesteela probably will put up quite a bit of work versus me, a lot of pressure to me still, especially Nihilego and Mega Manectric are probably the ones which I worry the most going into this game if I see them and when I do see them. But either way, my game plan going to this game, or leading with, would be with Ferrothorn, and the idea with leading with Ferrothorn is that I have seen Stibe usually leading with either Swampert, Greninja or Mega Manectric on his game. So ideally if he leads with the Mega Swampert and tries to deal with a Koko lead immediately and tries to get up his Stealth Rocks, cause I'm somewhat weak to them, I figured I'm gonna counter that lead and lead with Ferrothorn, and then I can either go for the Seed Bomb, try to be aggressive expecting him to stay in and try to expect me not to attack what is in front of me, or I can get up my lace of Spikes, cause Spikes look really good on this game barring versus the Latios and Celesteela, but be able to chip down Mega Manectric as it comes in, or Nihilego or Swampert in that matter, or anything which get affected by them would be useful. So that's the kind of idea what I'm going with this lead, and my opponent actually will decide to lead with his Mega Manectric, which is probably the worst case scenario, knowing that it's going to be carrying Overheat or Flamethrower. So because of that, I have to immediately respect that factor and swap into my Kurem, as I expect him to attack what is in front of him, cause Ferrothorn can be somewhat annoying to him to deal with. And he doesn't really know if my Kurem is still recovery set with Roost, or if I'm choiced, for example, and if I was choiced, it's no drawback for him to get a massive damage on him or on towards me. So he's gonna make that play, going for the overheat, as I'm gonna be roosting afterwards. That be able to make myself able to heal myself back on full. And here I'm gonna be swapping into Ferrothorn, cause I don't know what kind of set this Swampert is. And I figured it's better for me to scout if he has Toxic or tries to go for a fighting move. Even though Ferrothorn would be hit by it, I'm less concerned about Ferrothorn taking that hit potentially. But he made his double, expecting that potential double for my behalf, and went to his Celesteela. And I couldn't stay in on that matter because I didn't know what kind of set he was running. And here I figured that I go into my Gliscor first, because I was somewhat worried that he's gonna be clicking Earthquake if he packs it and immediately nuke something like a Tentacruel, Incineroar, or Tapu Koko. But he goes for the substitute, and then I was a little bit concerned that how I'm gonna be playing around this. But I figured at first that I'm gonna get my rocks up while I still can. And then I'm gonna U-turn out into my Incineroar, baiting him to go for another Heavy Slam. I know the Intimidate won't be affecting it because it's behind a sub. But now these couple of turns I have to bait him to go for a certain move. Basically try to bait him not to go for these Steel type moves, so I can go into my Kyurem, and then I get the Reflect up, and then I can 1v1 it a lot easier and break it up for sure every single time, and hopefully wear it down from there. And he was expecting me to go for the Fire type move, which is perfectly fine and somewhat respectable for me to try to do that, but like I said, I tried to bait him not to go for that Steel type move, so I can get my Kyurem in, which probably he didn't expect it to be Reflect set. So he goes for the Heavy Slam, but because how naturally heavy Kyurem is, after the Reflect, even it being super effective damage, we take it relatively well, and we do have the pressure ability, so ideally, as long as he's using those as many times as possible versus my Kyurem, he will only have like 8 or 6 or whatever throughout this game. And now he keeps going for the substitute as I'm trying to recover myself up a little bit more comfortable level before going for the Ice Beams again. He goes for the sub and he reveals to have Citrus Berry, which sort of tells me that he's probably gonna be packing Acrobatics as a flying type stab. So after this, it's kind of me trying to figure out throughout this game, does he have Earthquake or does he have Flamethrower? And that's gonna be huge throughout this game, as you're gonna be able to tell later on. But at this point, he does decide to go out to his Swampert, because he's gonna be noticing that actually my Kyurem is able to beat that thing 1v1. And because of that, and with the Reflect being up, I'm gonna be going into my Ferrothorn, expecting a fighting type move, but I figured that I can take it no matter what. And even after a power punch, low kick or super power should not be able to kill me nowhere close my Ferrothorn. So I figured that I'm gonna take this time to get up my spikes and be able to play from there. I wasn't too concerned to try to get the damage on this one, but I figured out that with rocks up, with spikes up, my end goal will be more beneficial to try to play towards, which was the concept of this team. Try to get as many hazards as possible and try to make sure that he's gonna have to take them as long as possible, unless he packs Defog or Latios. But even then, before he can do that, he's supposed to take them. And now he swapped into his Scramble. And at this point, I figured that I'm gonna go into Gliscor, scouting for a potential Earthquake or Fire Punch. And then I go for the U-turn. And he reveals to have Rocky Helmet, which tells me based on the damage and with the item of choice, he is defensive. But because he has Bulk Up, it's gonna be a little bit of a bigger threat for me to deal with depending on what moves he's running. So here I figure that he's not gonna be clicking the Earthquake in front of Gliscor, so I'm gonna go into my Tentacruel and pressure this thing out with a Sludge Bomb, and either I kill it or not. Worst case scenario, I don't kill it and he kills me back with an Earthquake if he packs it, which I still expected it to have. It still leaves it in a range that I have easier ways to revenge kill it, and then it's been nullified. But he decides to save that thing, goes to the Latios as I go for the Sludge Bomb, and unfortunately for me, I get the poison, because with that poison recall, and even if he reveals to have Defog, he's already chipped himself down throughout the progress. underneath 40% of health, 48% of health to be exact. And here I probably make my first mistake of going for U-turn in front of Latios. Because of the fact that I already knew Crample had Rocky Helmet, and I should have seen this coming, that he would make this kind of play, because he was expecting me to click U-turn or Knocko, so he was trying to get the chip off and deal with me 1v1 from there. So I should have made this hard double into Tentacruel and just save myself from the recall, but I didn't, and that was one of the mistakes I looked back that I should have made differently. And here, when I got my Tentacruel in versus the Crample, I honestly expected him to swap into Celesteela and try to utilize the substitute set versus the Tentacruel and avoid the slot spawn doing any damage to him while doing that. So I went for the Scalp, but he actually went to Mega Man Electric, and that chip damage may or may not be a huge factor for me in a late game. So I definitely take that Scald damage on a Manectric. I don't get the burn, but it's fair that I didn't, because I already got the slot spawn poison on the Latios. But here I swapped into the Gliscor, as you saw, baiting the electric type stab to coming, and then I tried to bait him go for the ice type move, just to be able to get my Krim a lot easier here in. And from this point I decided that instead of going for the Roost, I figured prioritizing some damage, whatever has to come in with Ice Beam, would be more beneficial. And now you're gonna be noticing that I do get a freeze, and that's obviously a huge factor right now, that I get the freeze on Swampert, because this is his only good defensive check to Tapu Koko's main stab versus him, which is the electric stab. And with this, he's basically having a sack right now, which I could potentially take advantage of. But this also, you're gonna be noticing that my opponent, giving a lot of credit to him, he's gonna actually play these few turns quite well to kind of recover from this factor from him, because now he's very unfortunate spot, and this kind of threw me off as well, and I kind of kicked myself over it that I actually get a freeze, and therefore I felt too comfortable with my few plays and make them too obvious. And you're gonna be noticing these from few turns out that my opponent, even when he gets hacks like this, he's able to really recover it from really well, and you're gonna be noticing he's able to put himself eventually in a very good position. So keep that in mind as we go along. But either way, after he got the freeze, I debated to go for another attacking move and try to kill that Swampert as it was in front of it, or if he makes a double. But I decided to go for the Reflect, because I really thought that Celesteela might be coming in. So that was a kind of like a misplay from my behalf. I feel like in hindsight I should have clicked either Roost or attacked what it was in front of me and gone for the Ice Beam. But he went hard into Nihilego and prioritized getting the Stealth Rocks up, and again he went for the Stealth Rocks being aggressive, expecting me to having to respect the Nihilego in front of me. So these are the kind of plays what I mentioned that he is really playing well towards to this point, because Stealth Rocks are really pressuring me at this point, because with the Mega Man Electric being able to come into field for free and the Stealth Rocks are up, I'm somewhat a lot weaker position versus it than I was before without the Stealth Rocks. I have a lot harder time to deal with it. And from here on out I figured that, well, because the rocks are up and because I don't want to sacrifice anything else for my team to take a hit from this Mega Man Electric, I utilized my Incineroars sort of as a sack. And as he brought his Nihilego in, surprisingly to me, he's running Black Slug on it and not Choice Skull, which was somewhat not expected from my behalf. I can tell that like Nihilego for sure can be run this way, but I didn't expect that to be his choice versus my team. I really expected Choice Skull to be very efficient versus me, even with Stealth Rock being on it. So him revealing Black Slug and Protect, this kind of tells me that okay, he's really lacking some key coverage moves to hit potentially my Gliscor or Ferrothorn. And I decided I utilize Ferrothorn for this, which was a good play in a sense that I'm able to deal with that Nihilego in front of me, but now this gives him free Celesteela coming in, and instead of going for a lead seed on that turn, when I get the spikes up, that was one of the plays I look back on that was a huge mistake, because it was so obvious that I go for that. and therefore it's very obvious for him to take advantage of it with Celesteela and go for the substitute. So instead of trying to prioritize too much the hazards attacking factor for my team and the game plan, I should have prioritized the factor of the bigger threat what I have to deal with right now, which is the Celesteela. Because if I had the lead seed up, he had a lot more harder time assuming that I landed the lead seed to be able to deal with this thing more properly. So either way, I'm really in a top position right now, because now I have to somewhat be able to break this thing substitute in a point that I can bring my Tapu Koko in, or my Kyurem. And right now, because of these stealth rocks, I cannot really bring Kyurem in recklessly and try to get the reflect up and try to beat it 1v1 from there. So I kinda have to sacrifice a lot of health on my Tentacruel. And because I'm so weak with the Tentacruel itself naturally, and how bulky Celesteela is, I'm not able to break its substitute so easily. And here, instead of actually prioritizing breaking this up, I figured that I'm gonna take this time to get rid of these stealth rocks. And from there, I decided that as he's going for these attacking moves, I'm gonna take this time, eventually save Kenny if I need to, but at this point, as long as he has the substitute up, I have to prioritize that he's not behind the substitute. So eventually I'm able to save Tentacruel from this position, even though there was a good chance he's gonna be going down. But at this point of time, I figured that alright, this thing is behind the substitute. I'm gonna take this time to sacrifice my Incineroar. The downside of sacrificing something versus Celesteela is obviously the beast boost factor, and he's gonna get the attack boost, and that's gonna be a little bit concerning right now. And this is gonna be a very crucial part of the game, cause right now, even though I have one of his mons freezed, he has been able to kill one of my mons, and he's able to keep the Celesteela behind the sub. And this is gonna be very tough thing for me to deal with, because I cannot allow this thing to do too much work versus me until I'm able to bring my Koko in versus the Celesteela when it's not behind a sub. Because once I'm able to do that, I'm able to pressure it out or kill it right from there. And once I'm able to do that, I'm a lot more safer dealing with what's being left from there. But right now, the key part of this game will be that how Kyurem hopefully is able to beat the Celesteela 1v1, and if I get credit at this point of time of the game or throughout these turns, this can really turn bad for me in a long run, because then I have to sacrifice a lot more mons to this thing and potentially lose a lot of my resources for the late game itself. So right now I'm playing towards that I don't get unlucky versus the Celesteela and try to get the reflect up. And from there I try to stall it out from heavy slams, and when I'm in a comfortable enough position, hopefully I'm able to click the ice beam and break the substitute. But you're gonna be noticing that in a hindsight, this is gonna be one of the other big misplays that I do in this game. The first big misplay which I consider throughout this game is the not clicking lead seed before the Celesteela came in with the Ferrothorn. And the factor that I did not prioritize bringing the substitute, because now you're gonna be seeing that he's able to get the crit off on that turn versus my Kyurem, and that is huge, because now I lost one of my best ways to deal with his electric type, and this Celesteela is still behind your sub. And I cannot allow Tapu Koko to coming on this turn. I don't have Volt Switch to break this up, which in a hindsight I should have had, but I packed a U-turn for guarantee momentum on its set. So right now I'm in a position that okay, I need to really think carefully how do I able to manage to break this thing substitute so I get the Tapu Koko in. And losing Kyurem like this when it was so good versus him offensively wise and defensively wise to deal with one of the biggest threats towards me, this is a game changer, and to me this is a bigger game changer from my point of view than the freeze was on the Swampert. But you can debate on that. Was that justice? Was it somewhat equal so far? But to me this is gonna cripple me a lot more considering how big of a threat Kyurem is to him than Swampert was versus me. But either way, when this crit happened, I had to play these couple of turns really carefully. One of the things what I have to still do is that I have to hope that he doesn't have flamethrower, and if he has, I'm able to get enough chip damage on his substitute so I can break it with Tentacruel afterwards. That, because I knew I should be able to live a flamethrower from full with my Ferrothorn, and he did pack the flamethrower, telling me that he doesn't then have Earthquake anymore on this set, which is kind of like too late for me to tell, but at least now we know that. And now I'm making a hard read going to Tentacruel. If he went for acrobatics there, I could have lost this game actually from there. But I expected him to go for the flamethrower, so I had to make this aggressive play to be able to keep some sort of resources from my end and be able to finally break this thing substitute. And from here, once I was able to do that, I had to let Tentacruel go down. And now I only have 3 mons remaining, which are Ferrothorn, which is beneath half, and we have Gliscor, which is around 60%, and then I have my choice cup, Tapu Koko. And this is a very hard position because he has still 6 mons left. Granted, one of them is in the field at 25% and one of them is being freezed. But I'm still down half of my team, where he has basically all 6 of his mons at least remaining. So I'm in a very tough spot, but I saw a small light throughout the tunnel that I still have a small chance of winning it. It's very small, but it's there. And now I have to really play correctly this late game towards that my Tapu Koko can sweep him eventually and be able to eliminate all of the potential threats what he has for my Tapu Koko to be able to spam one of its stabs for the late game. So here, that is gonna be the thought progress what I have to do, that I have to play towards Tapu Koko for the late game. But before I do that, I have to bring my Tapu Koko in, and I have to respect what is in front of me and not making any funky plays or too aggressive plays to try to read the Swampert of coming in. I have to click the Thunderbolt, and thankfully the Celesteela finally goes down, but it did way too much work versus me. And huge credit to Stibe using that set so well. It was a very efficient set and very well thought of set to be brought versus me. And here I have to go into my Gliscor versus the Nihilego, because I figured from here when he brought this thing, I can either go for Stealth Rocks or I can go for the Earthquake. And I decided actually that I'm gonna go for the Stealth Rocks here, because even if he brings his Latios in, I'm able to then U-turn on it and finish it off, and then I hopefully am able to get some of the hazards back up, because both Ferrothorn and Gliscor thankfully are still intact, and I still can find my turns to get them back up. So that's what I decided to do here. And when he brought his Swampert in, tried to sag it, and then I go for the Earthquake, and I'm not too sure what he was attempting to do here. But either way, whatever aggressive read my opponent decided to do there, it backfired on him heavily, because I was going for the Earthquake, trying to get rid of that Swampert, because that frees me up clicking Thunderbolt more freely versus him, considering Mega Manectric and Latios were the only electric resist from there. And now, because the Nihilego is gone, that takes away his main ways to get rid of or get up hazards. And now he's gonna be eliminating all the hazards from the field. But I take this trade off, and now I'm all of a sudden able to even out the field with the most what we have left, because he was at 6 and 3 up a few turns ago, but now all of a sudden both of us are at 3 and 3, and he has a Frozen Mon still intact in Swampert. So all of a sudden, from a very bad position, I'm still in a very good position to try to fight towards him. And now he brought his Scramble in, and here I decide that it's better for me to now go into the Gliscor, and now I'm gonna take this turn to get up my Stealth Rocks from here, and then I go into Ferrothorn, because now with the idea that what I have to do, that this Scramble has to be around of 69 or a little bit beneath that, like 67% of health, to be able to be killed by the Thunderbolt for my Tapu Koko set what I'm running at this point of time. So I have to get up my rocks to help dealing with the Manectric itself, to make sure that that thing is in a range of Tapu Koko's Dazzling Gleam a lot quicker. And now, barring the factor of now that does he have Earthquake on this Scramble or not, because he revealed to have Ice Punch, Play Rough and Bulk Up. Now depending on does he have Fire Punch or Earthquake. If he has Earthquake, I can get up base spikes versus this thing. And that means that eventually I'm able to put the Manectric in a range of dying to my dash screen Gleam with the hazards damage. And then hopefully I'm also able to, after the one layer of spike, I'm able to get the damage what I need on this Crample, so the Thunderbolt itself will revenge kill this Crample no matter what. But worst case scenario, I still should be fine even if he has Fire Punch, cause you're gonna be seeing that once he's gonna have it and he's gonna actually kill me with it, the Iron Barb's damage does enough to the point that I can still revenge kill this thing. So that was the thought behind there. Going to the Ferrothorn, that I can cover both case scenarios. The ideal situation would be that he didn't have the Fire Punch, but off the chance he does, it still can play towards for my end game goal, what I'm playing right now. And what was basically the idea of the whole team. That is that I'm able to finish off with Choice Scout Tapu Koko eventually, and now I was able to finish off the Cramble. But now it comes down to that how I'm able to utilize or be able to eventually eliminate this Manectric from the late game, and hopefully this Swampert is not gonna be able to thaw out, and thankfully it keeps to be frozen, and this gives me a turn with Gliscor that I'm able to get the Earthquake off. And because I'm able to get this Earthquake off, now I am in a position that the Manectric, as long as he doesn't crit me, knock on wood, my Choice Scout Tapu Koko should be able to claim the win for us. But it really comes down to still on RNG if I'm able to do that or not. And because already one crucial crit has happened, one crucial freeze has happened throughout this game, you never know, and I was still very worried about this game that I might be still losing. He goes for the Hidden Power Ice, kills my Gliscor off, and now it comes down to both of our electric types going versus each other 1v1. He doesn't know yet that I'm Choice Scarf. He might be thinking that he has to go for the Thunderbolt first and then go for the Overheat, but because I'm Choice Scarf, I should be able to take any one hit barring a crit, and because he's playing towards to the idea that I'm not Choice Scarf, he went for the Thunderbolt for the guaranteed damage first without dropping my special attack and potentially two-shot me with there. But with us being Choice Scarf, we are able to win this 1-0, and very good game to Stibe. This was the first game throughout this tournament that I really faced a lot of adversity throughout the game, that I wasn't in a comfortable position to really win out the game. The only other position where this happened was versus Bash, when I had to utilize the bottom pass factor. If that didn't go right, I would have lost the game. But this one to me was easily the hardest game for me so far, and based on purely because the Celesteela set. That was a beautiful set, so kudos for Steve bringing that and utilizing so well. And also shoutouts to him playing so well right after the freeze habit. I feel like that was the key turns, what he was able to do, that he was able to win this game. But that is gonna be the semi-finals. Yo Helsinki Hydreikas are moving to the finals, and we are gonna be facing Shaco King. And he's gonna be having a pretty disgusting draft with Scolopede speed passing, so who knows if I'm able to beat that game or not. I know Shaco King from facing him in the past that he's a very good coach. He's somewhat a kryptonite to me in a sense that I haven't been able to beat him more often than he has been able to beat me. So it's gonna be a very rough game because of those factors, but we have to say how that's gonna go. I'm gonna be attempting to upload it today as well as this is gonna be going up, so stay tuned for that, and subscribe if you haven't, so you're able to see it as well and see that how this tournament is gonna be ending out. But until that time, until next time, thank you all for watching, and I'll be seeing you guys later.